My name is Chase Jenkins and I own Uplift Fitness in Pomeroy, Ohio.
I am Madison Jenkins, co-owner of Uplift Fitness.
I grew up in Meigs County. I went to Eastern, played sports my whole life, and I was a somewhat athletic kid unless you ask my high school sports coaches. But I was really into working out, especially as I started to get 15, 16, and I just really enjoyed that. And the more I learned, the more I realized that it became somewhat of an obsession, just learning about the human body and psychology and physiology. And the main thing was the more I learned, the more I realized I was able to help people. Fast forward that basically 4 years, I go into college, go to OU, met my wife Madison. She was also into fitness, but we never expected to make a career out of that. In my time at OU, my senior year, I did a year-long project studying health and economic relationships. So really what I wanted to see was if you improve the health of the community, whether it's rural or urban or wherever, does that improve the economics? And of course we found yes, that was true. So did literature review, studied other cultures around the world, different places in America, and everywhere that they did that, it helped the economy. Out of that, my last semester, we did a case study on Meigs County. So we pulled all the health data we could possibly find about Meigs County, and we stacked it up against the state, and we stacked it up against the rest of the United States. Started that project on our home county here. And I started to go through these spreadsheets. It was spread all the way down my parents' kitchen table. I came home one day from school and just had this stack of papers. And we spread them all out, and I was looking, okay, Meigs County, the state, Meigs County, United States, what's different? And we would highlight every single one that was statistically significant. What really troubled me was, one, that gap was growing, and every other county in the state seemed like they were getting better, and we were getting worse and worse and worse. And the more I combed through that data, the more I really just thought about, like, man, people are suffering from chronic pain, and we're getting fed these painkillers, and you're dealing with addiction, and people are sick, and they have to go on disability, and there's so much going on, and people don't want to live this way, but they don't know anything else. And the part that really got me was there was nobody coming to help. Obviously other areas of the state, they were getting better. So we went through, we did all that research, and what that kind of came to was I gave that to my professor. I said, here are the issues, here's what's going on. This is kind of crazy. And part of me, I was honestly a little bit angry. I was like, this is wrong. This just is not right that we are getting treated this way, and we are forgotten in our little corner of the state.
We just realized that the rest of our community didn't have access to something that we loved in order to understand it. And our frustrations kind of grew from that. Fast
forward, she has me do an action plan. Basically said, Chase, what would you do about this problem? If you were in charge of this issue, what would you do about it? Now, I didn't know it at the time, but that action plan that I developed is what would go on to become Uplift Fitness. So I set up an appointment with Carlene Dotson from the SBDC. One thing kind of led to another, and we started developing this plan. And we had nothing when we started. So we spent a year and a half building a business plan, doing market research, trying to prove to the banks that we needed to get funding from that this was going to be a viable option. And we got it a lot. That's in Pomeroy, Ohio. That's never going to work. People down there don't work out. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's exactly what we want to change. And that's why we're doing this. But it was just no after no after no. We finally got funded, and I just felt like we had arrived at the mountaintop. When in reality, the fight had just begun. The climb had just begun. So we got our funding, found a location, started doing renovations. And at the time, I was a little bit wore out, but I was excited the process was starting, and we started renovations, and it was just one turn after the next. I had no idea.
Renovation processes actually started on day one when the mighty Ohio decided to flood into Uplift Fitness, and that was the first day we started. We went in there, we were cleaning out the river, and thought, this is it. This is what we're gonna have to deal with.
It just really started to beat me down. And even though I had this desire and this passion to do something for our community because somebody had to do it, there came a point, and one night in particular, I was sitting, it was like 11 o'clock at night or midnight. I was sitting up on a scaffold, and just, I don't know if it was a screw wouldn't go in or something, but it just broke me. And I sat there, and I was so angry, and I was like, this is never gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. We're gonna run out of money. We're gonna run out of time. And I just wasted all this for nothing. Find another job, whatever. But not knowing that I was actually only a couple weeks from starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel and opening, getting our inspections done and getting approved and going, holy crap, we're about to open. We gotta figure this business thing out. It was really exciting, but finally, we turned the lights out before we left, the night before that we opened, and I got to take a second and just sit there for a second. I thought back to that day. I sat down at my parents' table. I looked through all the health data, and I just thought of the people those numbers represented. The people that deal with chronic pain and get hooked on painkillers and suffer from addiction, and the people that deal with so many health issues that they don't have to, and nobody tells them otherwise. And in fact, our government a lot of times just kind of turns a blind eye to us in this corner of the county. And I knew that no longer, it wasn't that tomorrow we was going to have people knocking down our door, busting down our doors to come in. It was just tomorrow was the first turn in that wheel to set something in motion that the people that those numbers represented, that was going to go away. The suffering, the addiction, we weren't going to fix it, but we were certainly going to set something in motion that was going to remedy it and start making an impact when before there was nothing. And it, somewhat like magic, December 8th, it was going to happen. Over the next 2 years, getting to the point where we are now. You know, we've seen just story after story of life change, and you know, people that say, hey, I struggle with mental health issues and I'm a lot better dad now.
We felt the impact of just a mom coming in that's never even been in a gym before or that's never felt comfortable, and just realizing her confidence to just go in there and be by herself and do her thing and learn fitness her way. And it didn't have to change the whole world, but it changed our little world, and it changed her world.
And it's just things after, you know, one after another of that, story after story. We've talked for hours about how much that means to us, and we're so grateful to be able to serve those people. But our community just continued to show up. We never saw that kind of up and down wave that you typically see in our industry. We just grew and grew and grew into those next 2 years. Our community just rallied around this cause, and it has been somewhat otherworldly to me to see people that I do not know take on the mission that I had started when I was 19 years old. The last 2 years of business here in Pomeroy has just been absolutely phenomenal. Apart from our community right here, but the community at large, Meigs and Mason, and the stories and the impact that we're seeing, that we're having on people. That's why we do it, and it's what keeps us going, you know, 60, 70 hours a week sometimes. But at the end of the day, it's those that believe in our mission, that believe what we believe, and that's that no matter who you are, no matter where you live, and even if you live in our forgotten corner of the county sometimes, that you deserve to live a fit and healthy life, no matter who you are. And I think that over the coming years is what's going to make all the difference.